All right, let's jump right in. We're going to unpack a really old puzzle from the book of Ecclesiastes, but trust me, it's as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. It's all about this paradox of plenty.
I mean, this is the central question, right? You see it all the time. Someone works their entire life. They get the house, the car, the success. They have literally everything on their checklist. And yet, they're miserable. They can't seem to enjoy any of it. How does that even happen?
You know, what's wild is that this isn't some new modern problem. The ancient source text we're digging into today nails this issue perfectly. And listen to the language it uses. It doesn't just call it a problem or a shame. It calls it a grievous evil, a deep, painful tragedy.
So let's start by breaking down what we're going to call the satisfaction trap, because this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. The writer of Ecclesiastes is describing a real, widespread human sorrow, a trap that honestly any of us could fall into.
Here's the heart of it. There's this huge gap between earning something and actually enjoying it. You can achieve everything you set out to do, build an empire, check every box. But that feeling of satisfaction, that deep sense of joy, that's not part of the package. In fact, the source argues it's often the one thing that's missing.
What makes these words so incredibly powerful is who wrote them. This wasn't just some philosopher thinking deep thoughts. No, this was someone who lived this paradox at the most extreme level you can possibly imagine. This is a king's confession. The author is believed to be King Solomon. I mean, look at his resume. It's just staggering. We're talking about unmatched wealth, legendary wisdom, absolute power. The man had it all. But what was his reality? What was it like on the inside? Deep sorrow, regret, a profound sense of emptiness. He isn't just guessing here. He's telling us his own story, and that's what gives it so much weight. So, where did it all go wrong for him? Well, according to commentary on the text, Solomon's problem started when he turned away from God. See, the text makes this super important distinction. God might give you wealth, but the power to enjoy it is a completely separate gift. When Solomon strayed, he lost that ability, and suddenly all his treasures were just stuff, meaningless props in a life that felt empty.
Okay, so to really get why this trap is so effective, we've got to look at a key word the author uses again and again. He basically gives us the anatomy of that feeling of never ever having enough.
And that word is vanity. Now, when we hear vanity, we think of pride, right? Like someone who loves looking in the mirror. But that's not what the original Hebrew word, havel, means at all. It means smoke, vapor, fog. It's that feeling of complete futility, like trying to grab a handful of wind. It's pointless, a total waste. And to really hammer this point home, the author tells this really shocking story. I mean, it's a parable that's designed to completely mess with our ideas of what a good life even is. So first he says, imagine a man who has 100 children. Back then, that was the ultimate sign of success, of legacy. Your name would live on forever. Okay, but that's not all. Then he says, imagine this same guy lives for 2,000 years. So you've got legacy, you've got wealth, you've got more time than anyone could ever dream of. By any worldly standard, this guy has won the lottery of life, right? Well, here comes the twist. The author says that his stillborn child, a baby whose life never even began, is better off than this man. I mean, what? It's a shocking thing to say, and it's meant to make us stop in our tracks and ask, how could that possibly be true?
And here's the profound answer. A long life, even one filled with blessings, is a tragedy if it's empty of satisfaction. It's just a prolonged sorrow. The stillborn child, the text argues, never had to experience that emptiness, that gnawing dissatisfaction. In a way, it found a peace this man, with his 2,000 years, never could. The real measure of a life isn't its length or its stuff. It's the joy you find in it.
This all leads us to a bigger point about the human condition itself. The very things baked into our nature that make us so vulnerable to this dissatisfaction trap in the first place.
The author paints a pretty raw picture of us, doesn't he? We work so hard, mostly for our mouths, for survival, to pay the bills. But our soul, that deeper part of us, it's never satisfied. It's this constant wandering appetite for more, more, more. Add to that the fact that we have huge limitations and our lives are incredibly short, like a passing shadow. It's a tough setup. The source material offers this perfect little analogy that sums it all up. Think about it.
You can go out and buy the most expensive, comfortable mattress in the entire world, but you cannot buy a single minute of peaceful sleep. One is a thing you own, the other is a state of being you experience, and they are not the same.
And here's the final piece of the puzzle about our condition. We just don't know what's actually good for us in the long run. We chase after things thinking they'll make us happy, but we have no idea what the future holds. Our knowledge is so limited, and our sense of control is mostly just an illusion.
Okay, so if we're all caught in this trap of wanting more and knowing so little, that's kind of depressing, right? So is there a way out? Well, this last section moves from the problem to the solution, and it's all about reframing how we think about joy itself.
So according to the text, the path to contentment isn't about getting more. It's about 3 key shifts in how we see things. First, acknowledge your limits. Just stop trying to control everything. Let go of that pressure. Second, appreciate what you already have. This is about finding your wealth right here, right now, not in some future goal. And third, and this is the real game changer, receive joy as a gift. The ability to feel happy isn't something you can earn or achieve. It's something you're given. This whole idea is summed up beautifully in this other ancient quote. It says, "Contentment with godliness is great gain." It completely redefines what gain is. It's not more money or more success. Real gain is a state of peaceful satisfaction with what you've been given, and it's rooted in something bigger than yourself.
So at the end of the day, the big takeaway from all this ancient wisdom is a radical new definition of success. It's not what you gather. It's not about the pile of stuff you're sitting on. True success is the amount of joy you can actually experience from the life you've been given, right here, right now. And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. I mean, take a hard look at your own life, your work, your hobbies, your relationships. What are you working so hard to accumulate, but have maybe forgotten how to actually enjoy?